Okay, I'm starting to put in a little bit of the neutral tint into the red in order to get a little bit more of a darker shadow without disturbing the color of the red and changing it to purple or something along those lines. I'm using a very light wash. But again, I'm just building it slowly, 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 so that we don't go too far too quickly. And I just dried off my brush so that I could just feather that edge a little bit. I didn't clean the brush, I just took some of the moisture out. This section here. And feather it out. Red is happier when you don't mess with it too much. And I'm working fairly dry so that paint is not moving around too much, and working it almost like a pencil to get the color that I want. Now this inside here is very green, so I'm going to do some of that, but I'm going to paint this leaf here that I have masked off so that it has a chance to dry, and it needs to have a shadow on this side, and I'm painting right through to the other side of the leaf because I've got it all masked off, and you can see how it's resisting in that area, which is a good sign. And that might be all we need for the time being. You know, when you're putting some sort of venation in, you know, the venation should go from one place to another. Just don't put floating lines in. Is that they really need to be defined as to where they're going and why they're there. They should at least start from an edge somewhere. So this looks like it could use a little more color. So we'll put another layer of our thin wash. Okay, keep working, keep working. All right, I'm going to start to do some work on the stems here a little bit more, just so we get a little contrast going on here. Sometimes you have to add things just so you can see the relationship and where it could be going. So here we are so far. We still have quite a bit of work to do, but it should give you some sort of an indication of where you need to go with reds and how they behave. For the most part, I've just used concentrations of red and a little bit of neutral tint. I've put a little bit of Windsor Violet mixed in with the neutral tint in red in these really dark areas. The greens are a mixture of the sap green and the red mix. Red tends to get a little dull as you build the color, and just the lightest wash of cadmium yellow will brighten everything up and make it sparkle. I'm picking up pretty dry paint, but I am working with this more or less the side of the brush. Feathering everything as much as I can. I've taken some more of the moisture out of the brush in order to feather out this darker area. And I'm probably going to even add a little bit more color.
It wants to be much darker.
And you know that when something starts to not work for you, let it dry, and then you can go back in again and play with it. Progress is being made. So I wanted to show you this area here. I had been painting it and it was going down very roughly. And remember, I had masked out this area in order to paint the leaf underneath. So it kept looking very spotty and textured, and I thought there's still got to be some maskoid on there. So of course I took some tape and it took off a lot of my wash. So what do we do now? Let's start by just dry brushing in and seeing if we can even out some of these areas so that we get back this nice light pink area. So I want to make sure that my color is not too dark. So I'm going to take my miniature brush and we're going to dry brush in, and remember, just like in graphite, if you put more layers on it gets darker. So you want to start with a layer that's lighter than the surrounding area and then just going in and very gently is start to fill in the light areas. Once it's wet, you're going to let it dry.
Tiny little strokes. You want to match. Initially, you want to match. It's almost there. We're getting there.
So you can fix things if you have to. This is still in its early stages, as you can see. In some cases, I may have to use a magnifying glass in order to see the edges that I want to clean up. So at this point, I'm going to be using my skins quite a bit. I'm going to be using my skins quite a bit and testing each color before I put it down. Just to make sure that I'm matching what I want to match and getting it right. So I'm going to work on these two flowers. I don't know how far I'll get on them, but I wanted it to be close enough so you could see where there were issues. We need to define this edge a little bit more. We need to soften this. There are edges all along here. And I'd like to be able to show you this as I'm painting, except for the fact that I must use a magnifying glass and there are just too many reflections going on and I can't get it in focus, as you can see, for me to show you this while I'm painting. So what I will do is I'll paint it so you can see the difference. I've worked on this particular flower for the past hour, and I've cleaned up all these edges. I've added more value where I've needed value so that it would create a little bit more dimension. And I probably could even go more, but if you're going to see this video tonight, I have to stop.